The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. For the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. And we're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our website that is going to be changing over the next couple of days, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Tom Trenton. He is one of the leading academic activists in the United States, a highly skilled debater and dynamic public speaker. Tom frequently goes toe-to-toe with Muslim Brotherhood representatives, exposing their radical agenda to the public and elected officials. Tom, with earned degrees in law enforcement philosophy theology, was awarded the Carnegie Hero Medal Award for saving a man from a burning car. Tom has traveled extensively through the U.S. and Europe, lecturing and exposing Islamic violence and infiltration in government, law enforcement, and academic institutions. He is one of the co-authors of Shariah, The Threat to America, and appears frequently on major media outlets and talk shows as an authority on Islamic ideology. His website is www.theunitedwest.org. And Tom, welcome to the X-Zone.
Hey, Rob, great to be here. If indeed the X-Zone is where fact is fiction, I'm in the right place, let me tell you.
You know, Tom, I've had the pleasure of talking to you and Mark and other members of your cast of many that are going to be forming a great TV series, and we're going to talk about that not this week, but later on. Man, what you guys are sharing with the X-Zone Nation, I know for a fact, is blowing the socks off not only our old listeners, but the many new listeners that this very, very important topic is bringing to the fold. Tom, how did you get involved in doing the exposing of the true workings and the behind-the-scenes stories when it comes to Islam?
Yeah, that's what I was referring to with fact being fiction. We try to communicate the facts, but they fall on ears like President Obama's, and they're viewed as fiction. And thankfully, sadly, as a result of the events of the past year or so, many people are starting to see that my work and my colleagues' work exposing Islamic jihad as a systemic problem in the United States, around the world, is indeed a fact. I got involved. The catalyst for my immediate involvement in fighting Muslim terrorism was 9/11, like virtually everybody else in the United States.
Yeah.
Saw the buildings come down. Those are buildings that I used to watch get built, living in New Jersey, looking across the river. And I knew when they struck that because of my background, that I'd be somewhat centrally involved in the fight.
Let me ask you this. Why hasn't more been done over the years, especially since 9/11, to protect America, freedom, and democracy from Islam, and now we're seeing the results of our lack of initiative with what's happening with ISIS and the growth of ISIS.
Yeah, one of the fundamental problems that the West faces, particularly the United States of America, is a doctrine we have that all men are created equal, and extending that doctrine a bit further, that every human being, every man, every woman on earth, has a desire, an innate desire for freedom, for justice, for democracy. Well, let me take a step back. For freedom, for justice, for equality. We in the West have determined that the mechanism, the political mechanism to enhance freedom, justice, equality is the concept, several thousand years old, of democracy, where people have a particular vote. And we've established communities around the world that are democratic. But the problem is the bad guys, the Islamic jihadis, they believe in justice, equality, and freedom. But that comes through Sharia law, which is in contradistinction to Western principles, particularly constitutional principles, thus the debate and the confrontation.
Tom, you and I have to take a commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. But this is a topic that isn't going to go away. And it's hard to imagine that such important topics are falling off on deaf ears in most cases, that those in power who have the ability to make the changes that, in my opinion, and the opinion of many others, are necessary, are just being ignored. Let's talk more about this when we come back from the other side of this break. Exonation, my guest this hour is Tom Trento, www.theunitedwest.org. This is the X Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com. www.theunitedwest.org is Tom Trento's website. And Tom, before we went to the commercial break, we were talking about Sharia law. Can you explain to our listeners what Sharia law is and how it differs from our concept of a democracy?
Yeah, it's pretty simple to understand in the macro. From a large,
right,
from a step back, switching the metaphor from 30,000-foot view. It's simply from now your listeners have to get into the mindset of the average Muslim who is raised with this from birth, and they're very tight. The families are tribal. They only up until 50 years ago did the Muslim world break into the Western world. So for 1,400 years, there was no outside interference into the way of thinking I'm going to describe. So for us to have the illusions that it's going to change overnight is absurdity, is fiction. But Sharia law is very simple. Sharia means the path, the pathway in Arabic, Sharia, the pathway, and it's the pathway to water. And the concept is when someone is thirsty, they want the right path to water. They don't want the wrong path that will not lead them to water because they won't quench their thirst. Mm-hmm. And the only right way is the path given by Allah to Muhammad, written in the Quran. And if you want to know the way to God, it's Allah's law in the Quran, and that's called the Sharia. And the Sharia, because Islam views themselves as a religion, but more so as a governmental system. If you want to know how to live among people and how people should respond to you, you've got to adopt the Sharia. And when you go to the micro view of the Sharia to break it down to its principles, it is completely opposite of democracy. There is no free thinking. There is no voting. It's simply dictated from Allah, you must follow. That's the Sharia.
We've known about ISIS for years. Like, this is nothing new. We've known about Al Qaeda. The World Trade Centers, 2 attacks. One, September the 11th, which is not that far away, the anniversary, should have been and was a wake-up call to many people. But it seems that those with the ability to protect the American public, to protect democracy, to protect freedom, did not have any contingency plans for what was to follow. Why not?
Well, again, it's the... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
Okay, when you dissect these cultural phenomena, why has the United States fallen down on the job of fighting Islamic Jihad? One of the primary fundamental philosophical reasons is because we as Westerners have this belief that I explained early in the show, that everybody really wants freedom as we define freedom, so we construct our public policy based upon the principles that we believe are true. Therein lies the problem. To fight Islamic Jihad, to fight Muslim terrorism, you've got to understand it from their view and then construct public policy to fight their view of public policy, which we're not doing.
I have a belief that not every culture can embrace democracy. And this is one of the biggest problems we have by trying to instill democracy in cultures that really do not want democracy because it goes against thousands of years of the way that they've been running their lives. And I believe that this is one of the biggest problems we have is with Islam, is that we're trying to enforce or instill our beliefs on them. But on the same thing, it is now apparent that they are trying to instill their beliefs on us as well. So how do we come to a compromise? Is there the ability to come to a peaceful compromise, or is this going to be another holy war?
No, there is absolutely no mechanism available to come to a peaceful compromise between Western Jeffersonian democracy and Islamic Sharia law. None whatsoever. There never has been. There never will be. Islam started as a brutal, vicious system to implement public policy. That is, if you want to live in our community, you have to follow our law, or you convert. We'll let you do that. If you don't want to convert, part of the doctrine of Islam says you can remain a Jew, a Christian, a Hindu, whatever, but you've got to be subservient, a second-class citizen, pay a tax. If you don't